So it turns out that choosing to run 500 kilometers in 1 month, 10 miles a day for 31 days in a row, can mean one begins to go a bit weird. Even after a good start running 80 kilometers in the first 5 days, I wasn't totally convinced that I was ready for another 420. This is the story of how running my way to day 10 and a total of 161 kilometers resulted in a slight loss of social normality. I think it's worth mentioning a couple of things right here. As you follow this jog on journey, if the absurd challenge of running 500 kilometers in 1 month as an adventure excites you and is something you feel you or someone you know could take on, we've actually created a place where you can register your interest at 500k.co.uk. You can also follow this challenge on Strava at JOG ON with Harry Morgan. On to the next day.
Good morning, Jog On crew. I can actually see my breath in the van. Something I was just thinking about, when I finished yesterday, completing 5 days in a row of running, there was something that felt a little bit final about it. The numbers added up quite nicely. 80 kilometers or 50 miles. And I think there was a small voice in the back of my head that was saying, you've chained up 5 days, you've run 10 miles every day, you did a couple of nice routes. You could just call it quits there, and you could change the challenge and call it 50 miles in 5 days. But it was a very small voice saying that, and I knew that no, I want to do this properly, and we have a lot more running to do. So,
Another morning,
we begin the 6th day,
another 10-mile run.
and onward into the unknown.
Oh, it's fresh.
You can't really dote on it. At the end of the day, you're running 500 kilometers, 310 miles in 1 month. It's ridiculous. So, a quick note on today's run. I'm running around 2 different bodies of water, which are known locally as ponds, but not the kind of garden pond you or I might think of. They're actually quite big, and quite simply are so named. One is Little Pond, and one is Great Pond.
As I jogged up to the water's edge, I took a moment to breathe the fresh air and continued on.
Now, connecting the 2 ponds is this sort of wide open expanse, and carving through that expanse are these sandy trails. Anyone who's run on sand will know there's one thing trickier than running on sand, and that's running on sand up a hill. It can be a nightmare running through this stuff.
The sandy beach was soon replaced by road and an odd sight.
I love this. These elephants are restricted. Stay away from the elephants.
Then some unwanted steps.
Oh dear Lord. This is the kind of thing that can really start to tire the hamstrings, the quads. Here we go. But getting to the top, you do get quite a nice view.
I made my way through the undergrowth.
It's almost like a carpet of moss underfoot.
Descending steep slopes, I briefly considered living out there in the wild, then thought I should probably carry on.
Woohoo! Look at that sun. Absolutely beautiful as I descend back down into the forest. Just gone past 15.6 kilometers.
And then
16.1 kilometers. Oh, the final sun of the day just glinting through the trees over there. And what else is there to say other than on to the next one? I'm driving to meet an old friend, and she's going to show me around one of her favourite 10-mile routes.
Day 7 was crisp, cold and muddy. I found time passing by quickly as we caught up on old news and pushed on through the winter ground. My friend Laurel was coming back to fitness after some time off running.
Oh my god.
It's only a couple of k's to go, we'll be alright.
Yeah, I feel the difference. I felt alright at the beginning, but now I'm like really fatigued. And it's still like very strong.
But the beauty of having a foundation of running meant she still cruised her way through the 10 miles. We were done.
That's another 16.1 kilometres and the 7th day done. That was good, thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
You're asking about the timing. I think that of all the runs, that was the run that passed the quickest, because I actually was just chatting to you the entire time.
Needless to say, my Shakespearean compression socks that day were not so white.
That was so fun though. That was good.
Day 8 was probably the day where things took a turn for the strange. This was me at the beginning of the run, and this was after.
Hello world, another run! Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's actually genuinely that freezing cold today that I've opted for trousers. It's freezing. Why did I choose to do this in January again? Muddy patch, careful. Woo!
The music was a welcome distraction from the Arctic temperatures.
Boom! Cool thing about this tree is it's got a bit of extra tree at the bottom. Is this the tree? Or is that the tree? It's all the tree. Running out on the moorland.
Before a quick stop for ice.
Hello, Harry here, and welcome to the 8th day. And it is quite cold.
And then it all came crashing down.
We've just paused the run because for the first time, whoa, my energy's going. Now, whether that's a nutrition thing or whether it's just the 8th day of running and my body's going to go through that, I don't know, but I'm having an energy gel. It's a bit weird because it's like jelly, minus the ice cream and the fun. But hopefully this kicks in shortly and I feel a bit better.
Both freezing, we tried to keep the kilometres ticking over.
So if you just glance to your right, you'll see all the warehouses where we process the Jog On top orders, and they are in size order, extra small right through to extra large.
Then, with a mile to go, the energy gel kicked in.
Finishing up on a forest path, and there we go. 16.1 kilometers a day that had energy highs and energy lows. On to the next one. Woo! No Jog On van this morning. Today, I'm being chauffeured. Beautiful views up towards the hill up there.
This run was going to be a lot less flat, but the views were worth it at the top. And the morning frost was still fresh on the trees, turning them a crisp white.
Now, as is typical of video, you can never quite get the depth or the steepness of a hill, but you have to believe me when I say that this is one of the steepest hills around of all the trails I run. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. You have to be really, really careful, especially if you're not in trail shoes. And it just starts to open up at the bottom and you can go again. Running up it is hard as well, as you can probably imagine. You come around the corner, face it and go, no. Slow, wet, muddy, and boggy progress, but it is at least progress.
I decided to try some show jumping mid-run, but found that,
wow, I don't have a huge amount of spring left in me.
Coming back up the path, I came across an entire family running.
Again, you may not be able to tell, but that is a big hill. Day 9, let's go. 11k done, just a park run to go.
And then, striding across the earth, who should show up?
Honestly, making a habit of this. Check over my shoulder and look who's approaching. You're gonna have to catch this though. See you later. Oh wait, she's a GB athlete, of course she'll catch me. How did you even find me?
I was putting my shoes on and I saw this like flash of red and yellow. I literally sprinted down the hill and I couldn't catch you up. Honestly, I was screaming your name and then I was like, he's got his headphones
Oh
in.
really? I had Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac blasting at the time. Just to give you a little bit of insight to how this works, this is quite common. The car's just down there, but on the watch, we've only just gone over 15.1 kilometers. That means I need another 1,000 meters. So what we do is we peel back away from the car. A little bit demoralizing, because you see the car, you think, oh no, there it goes. It's a lot of tacking on and adjusting and just picking that little bit trail, swinging around this tree, taking that path just to add a little bit more on each time. Coming up to mile 90, 1 hour, 40 minutes and 59 seconds. And of course, 16.1 kilometers. Tomorrow is day 10.
But when I arrived back, it was clear that 90 miles of running had taken its toll. I discovered that part of my foot had bled. We would have to see how the foot was the next day and whether the challenge could continue.
Long distance running is a weird thing.
After inspection that morning, it was determined that the foot would be okay for now.
Welcome to day 10. At the end of this, 100 miles will be complete, which is exciting, but then you remember it's 310 miles total, 500k, and you think, actually, I'm barely even a third of the way. The car display showed 0 degrees Celsius, and there's just a chill in the air. If you haven't already realised, I've got a 10 miler, Louise has got a 15 miler, and then I've got a podcast conversation to record for Jog On.
That morning's route was around the perimeter of a military firing range, and the warning signs were clear.
I gotta say, the cold is somewhat taking its toll. Just starts to catch in your throat and on your lungs, and I'm wearing the buff just for a little bit, just kind of warm the face back up. It's not easy in these temperatures. It's very, very cold. On it.
Soon, a GB athlete was in sight.
Go on, Louise, well done. Very nice.
And then, I found myself in competition.
I've got into that difficult situation where there's a guy running just up ahead, and I know that for the longevity of this challenge, I should really take it easy, but there's that part of me that wants to race, wants to overtake. I feel like I am reeling him in. He's not running very fast. You don't need to beat him.
But the temptation was too great. As I overtook, I couldn't see behind me that he had ground to a halt.
That guy that I went past, I think he got a bit demoralised. He just stopped after I passed him. Definitely a bit faster on the 10th day. I went through 10k in 54:30. A little bit sharp possibly for this kind of challenge, but probably the main factor is the wide open, fairly flat trails and just sticking to this perimeter loop. Just gotta be a little bit careful. I've got Fleetwood Mac blasting, and I just realised I was running at sub 25 5k pace. For the back end of a 100 miler, that's gonna be a 310er. That's not what we want to be doing. I feel good. And on the 10th day, we hit 16.1 kilometers. Wow, that was a bit sharper. Don't hold me to this, but I think the quickest time so far was a 1:34. Well, that was a 1:26:52. I don't know what to tell you. I'd love to say, 100 miles in, I feel terrible. but I don't. And that completes another 5 days, brings us up to a total of 100 miles. Woohoo! Even though we are now a third of the way in, like I said before, this is just the beginning. I'm Harry, go for that run, and this is Jog On.